Happy New Year! Today I will be doing my December wrap-up. In December I technically finished 3 books, but I also started another one and got about 2/3 into it and just finished it yesterday, so I decided to just include it in this wrap-up. I also have tea with me today. I normally don't really do that, but it's kind of cold in here and I'm scared I will freeze if I don't drink like hot tea. So I am very happy to say that I definitely stuck to my TBR. I'm quite excited that I was able to just really read what I had planned to read this month. So the first book I finished was Forbidden by Tabitha Susuma. I have heard so many really good things about Forbidden, and this was actually gifted to me by a friend who really loved it. So I was excited to finally read this, to know myself what I think about this book. If you haven't heard of it yet, it is quite controversial because it is about a brother and sister falling in love, which is honestly something that didn't really bother me going into it. I thought this is gonna be a really interesting read, and I wasn't feeling prejudiced or something. I wasn't already going into it being I will hate this. Why are brother and sister falling in love? That said, I did have some slight problems with it. I just didn't like the main characters in general. Didn't really like how the story was going. I was very upset with the ending. I was extremely mad. Overall, I was just disappointed with the thoughts of the characters. I don't know, it was really weird, and I just didn't really enjoy reading about their kind of thoughts on this relationship. I just didn't think that was something that I enjoyed. I do understand why people love it, and I wouldn't say I would not recommend it. It just was not for me, absolutely not for me. Yeah, but really, it has nothing to do with the brother-sister relationship. I actually thought that was quite an interesting aspect to read about. I decided to give it 2.5 stars. My personal enjoyment is probably a bit lower, but I do appreciate some of the things this book has done, and I do understand why people love it. So yeah, 2.5 stars. Next, I reread Fire by Christine Cashore. This is the second book in the Grace-Healing Realm trilogy, and I am a big fan of the trilogy, if you don't know that yet. So I was very excited to reread this book, and this was my first reread, and it was actually the first time that I read this book in English, so that was all very exciting, and I loved it so much. I think I actually might have loved it even more the second time, which is always a really good sign. I think doing rereads is always a bit scary because you never know how much you're gonna enjoy it the second time around, but no worries for me. I loved it just as much, if not more, and I'm just excited to reread the other books as well. And yeah, 5 out of 5 stars again from me, and just again, highly recommended trilogy. Next, I finished a book that wasn't in my TBR, but just because I forgot to mention it, because it was a pre-order that hadn't arrived yet at the time when I was filming it, and that was Their Fractured Light by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the third and final book in the Starbound trilogy, and I was incredibly excited to finish this book because this is a companion trilogy. So we knew that at the end of this book there were 3 stories kind of coming together, and I'm always really excited about this. Also, companion trilogies always mean that I don't have to remember too much about the other 2 books, and since I am incredibly forgetful, that is always kind of good for me. Actually enjoyed Their Fractured Light most of the whole trilogy. The first book was really good, but just very cheesy in some points, and I think kind of hard to understand. I remember there were many parts that I didn't really understand back then. The second book was slightly disappointing for me, just couldn't really keep up with the first book. And this book, I thought this was really good. It's not my favorite or a perfect book, but I just enjoyed it most out of the whole trilogy. The main characters definitely were sometimes quite annoying, but I did really enjoy their relationship quite a lot, actually. Looking back at it, I do think that maybe the ending, well, it wasn't rushed, but I felt it all ended very convenient. I don't know if that's the right word. It's hard to explain for me, but I was left just kind of disappointed. It was I can't really say that. I kind of wished for a bit more drama. If Forbidden would give some drama to this book, I think I would have been more happy with both of these books, but still definitely enjoyed this very fun science fiction-y, romancy trilogy with an interesting paranormal twist in it. And I gave Their Fractured Light 4 out of 5 stars. And the final book I started this month but finished only yesterday was Let It Snow by Maureen Johnson, John Green and Lauren Miracle. This is a book that contains 3 short stories, wintry and Christmassy romancy short stories, and I was very excited to read this because this has been on my TBR for 2 Christmases, and this Christmas I finally wanted to read it. Overall, I gave the book 3 stars because I did enjoy it and I think it is a nice Christmassy read, but the 3 stories were just very, very different. They fit together well, but I just thought that they were on very different levels, like enjoyment wise. So the first story by Maureen Johnson, which was called The Jubilee Express, I gave 2.5 stars. I definitely enjoyed it, but I don't think it was anything special, and the romance in it was really, really weird. Can't really talk about that obviously, but the romance was, yeah, I don't know, it was weird. It was really weird. The second story was A Cheer-tastic Christmas Miracle by John Green, and I don't know if this is like a thing because I knew the story was by John Green, but I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it most, like a lot more than any of the other stories. It was really good. I really liked the characters in it, and I just liked the dynamics between the different people. I also liked the romance aspect of it. It was just a lot more like believable, and just overall the people were more likable, and the story was just a lot more interesting. And then the last story, The Patron Saint of Pigs by Lauren Miracle, was the worst story of them all. I actually absolutely hated the story and only gave it 1 star. I thought that the main character was so annoying, so incredibly annoying, and they actually talk about how annoying she is and that she is like self-absorbed. So like, I don't... And the whole thing at the end where they obviously talked about how she was a better person. Yeah, of course that happens in like the course of an hour. It just didn't really make any sense to me. The story was not interesting, or no, I really just kind of read through it to get the book finished, and that's also why it took me like so long to finish the book. Only finished it in the bus yesterday when I was going home from my parents' place because I had nothing else to do. And these were all of the books that I have read in December. I was actually quite happy that I managed to read 4 books. Very nice, successful year 2015 for me. Obviously, there's going to be a favorite books of 2015 video coming up very, very soon. Once again, Happy New Year. Hope you had a really nice like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. If you're having any kind of resolutions, then I hope that it all goes well. I don't have resolutions. I've never made any resolutions in my life. I'm not really the person for resolutions. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.